Welcome to 40 Born, the limited Lorcana podcast. We're a gaming veteran
and a gaming novice.
Explore all things Lorcana. With a focus on limited formats, we cover set reviews, strategy guides, and stuff that nobody asked for.
Let's get better together, Jake. I just wanted to go back to our roots because we're talking about something today that I don't understand.
It kind of felt like you phoned that introduction in. That was the most half-hearted and a gaming novice I've ever heard.
I'm really usually on it too.
Yeah, you're supposed to bring the energy.
Sorry, my heart wasn't in that one.
We should have waited till you finished that cup of coffee to press record.
I really didn't have coffee yet, so yeah.
Well, cheers.
It's kicking in.
Well, today we're talking about Cube.
Yeah, what I actually wanted to do for the intro was say let's get better together like 3 times, but I couldn't remember if cubed was to the power of 3
or the power of 4.
Yeah. So I was like, well, if it's 4, I either mess it up or I just say something so much and then it just was going to be a whole thing.
That would have been great either way.
And
it certainly would have been better.
Well, all that happened in the 10 seconds you were talking, so there's a lot to sparse through.
A peek behind the curtain. There's no wizard, it's just a man pulling levers.
You really don't want to see it's back there.
We're not talking about the hit TV show The Cube hosted by Dwayne Wade.
Unfortunately not.
No. But today we are discussing Cube. You might have heard people talk about this in Lorcana or in this space in general.
Yeah.
It's a pretty fun topic. I'm excited to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we could do a whole series on this, but we're just going to do one episode as like an overview and gauge people's interest, sort of bait the hook and see if people want to play Cube.
Yeah.
We talk about the format quite a bit in our Discord, so if you want to learn more about Cube, you want to talk about it, hop in the Discord. We're going to plug that multiple times because it's going to be the best way to get into this format right now.
Yeah, we got a whole space for it. Sometimes I just pop in there and I'm like, oh, look, we're still talking about it.
Cube chat. They're going off.
Then I leave.
Yeah, Cube is like a very communal sort of thing, helping each other decide which cards are going to go in your cube. Yeah. But before we get into that, we should probably discuss what Cube is. But before we get into that, you finally know the baby's name.
I do. Oh my gosh, I had to wait for her to be born.
Yeah, us too. We were on the fence on a few things.
Mm-hmm. You decided once you saw her?
No. We were like 95% sure this is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
I don't know if I said this on the podcast, but I took the question to Reddit.
Oh, yeah.
I think I said that on the podcast.
Yeah, because I was looking for it. I couldn't find it.
I can't tell her that. I feel like that's something in the future I'm not going to be able to be like, we use Reddit to help name you.
There's going to be a school project and be like, oh, like, what does your name mean? Where'd it come from? And you're like, Reddit.
Yeah.
That's where it came from.
And then she's going to have to explain Reddit.
Yeah. You've doomed her.
Oh, well. It's a great name.
Are you saying it on the podcast or no?
I think I said that her name was Ada.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great
I'm not going full name, but...
She's lovely. Yeah, don't...
We got her social security card.
Nice. You do want to share that?
Yeah, I'll give the number out. You'll give your social security number to
Dude, to anyone. Take my identity.
It
means nothing to me.
Take this identity. You can have it.
Just DM me in the Discord. You got it.
Mother's maiden name, everything. All right, well, you went to Canada.
Went to Canada for like 10 days, north of Toronto. Canadians are lovely people.
How similar was it to Schitt's Creek?
Catherine O'Hara's house was there, so I guess kind of similar. Otherwise, I don't know. Does that take place in Canada?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's supposed to be just like nondescript Canada. They're all Canadians.
That's right. Yeah. I watched the whole thing. Didn't...
You really watched the whole show?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked it.
We liked it a lot. I didn't finish the last season, though. I need to do that.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I forgot about it.
You should. I hate the ends of things, though, so generally just...
Yeah, we're bad about that. We'll watch a show and then not watch the ending.
Just don't like when things end,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. House of the Dragon's been great. Can't recommend that on this podcast because this is supposed to be family friendly.
We are just rewatching season 1.
Nice. A lot happens.
Yeah.
A lot of gruesome birthing scenes. So we did not rewatch season 1 given the recency of Skylar's C-section.
That's smart. Yeah.
I did not pass out.
Dude, that's huge.
Yeah, it was huge. I was like in the room adjacent when they were giving her the spinal and prepping her. I was like shadow boxing and I had these little like smelling salts that I was smelling. I was getting amped. I was like ready to run through a brick wall by the time they pulled me in there.
Dude's hopped up off smelling salts.
I had to, because if not, I was gonna pass out.
Was it crazy? What was that like? I've never done a smelling salt. Not.
Oh, I thought you meant I've never done a C-section. Smelling salts? Yeah, it just hurts, but it like wakes everything up.
Wow.
You know, like chewing 5 gum?
Yeah.
It's like that, but like what the commercials actually look like.
It's just like 5 gum.
Yeah.
Don't do smelling salts like just in your free time, right? It can be good for you.
I have no idea.
Oh.
I know that weightlifters do it before they lift,
Okay.
like in the Olympics.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. I just don't want to endorse something I don't know anything about.
Oh.
Tell us if you know
Well, I
stuff
mean, you
about
do a
smelling
podcast
salts.
about Lorcana.
I have not once endorsed Lorcana. Let the record show.
Not a sponsor. All right, let's talk about Cube.
Yes.
That's enough riffing.
Ooh, yeah, they're gonna love that.
Okay, so I'll define Cube, and then we'll talk about why we're excited about it. We'll give you some tips on how to make your own. Look at a couple of examples, and then we'll do a pack one, pick one.
We'll be making our own on the pod here, like or
Arts
it's
and
just
crafts.
like a DIY. Yeah.
No, it's just some tips so our listeners can make one.
Okay. Good.
Cool. Okay, so Cube is, I'm just going to read the definition from an article.
Please do.
Cube is a collection of carefully selected cards compiled by a cube designer or community for the purposes of being used to play limited formats such as draft or sealed.
Okay.
So it's a version of limited in which instead of opening packs of cards, you basically create your own set. So it's not like we're drafting Shimmering Skies or Rise of the Floodborn. We're drafting a cube. And in the cube, I, myself, or me and my friends have picked a pool of cards, and the packs are randomly generated from that pool, and then we draft using that.
Okay.
So, traditionally, this was created as a way for people to draft Magic in between sets.
Oh, okay.
So when a set would come out, it's a lot of fun to draft, but after like a month, people would get bored of it, and they would then draft Cube, because you can adjust your Cube, or you can have different ones.
Yeah.
And it's a way to play limited without waiting for a new set to come out.
Right.
Or if a set comes out and you don't enjoy drafting it, then you can just play your Cube.
And it doesn't get stale because you can always adjust your cube. So like you can just make whatever changes you want. So it's going to be new no matter what.
Yeah, you can change what's in it.
Cool.
So usually a cube, do you have any questions so far about what it is?
No, so far my initial thoughts are just for all you out there who have made a cube, right? People are doing this. People are making cubes.
Yeah, a few people. It's not that popular yet.
Seems like what good Samaritans they are, Like just taking one for the team. I'll make a cube so I can play Draft or Limited with friends.
Yeah, it's definitely the most cost-effective way to play Lorcana, because you only need one. Usually it's singleton. Usually a cube is a collection of cards, and there's usually only one copy of a card, of any given card in that cube.
In the cube. Oh.
Yeah, so if you want Be Prepared, there's usually only one Be Prepared in the entire cube.
Okay.
That's not a hard and fast rule, which is a great thing. We'll talk about this throughout this episode. Cube, there's no actual rules. You can do whatever you want. So if you want to have, 8 copies of Be Prepared, you can. Or if you want to start, everybody starts off the draft and they get 1 copy of Friends on the Other Side for free. There's a bunch of different rules that you can implement.
That's cool. But there's no hard set fast rules.
No, but usually it's singleton, meaning there's only 1 copy of each card in a cube.
Okay.
And usually a cube is meant to support a full pod of 8 players. So for drafting in Lorcana, there's 8 drafters in a pod, 4 packs per person, 12 cards per pack. So you need at least 384 cards to support an 8-person draft. You can keep it right at that, or you could go over that. Like one of the examples we're going to look at today has over 400 cards. So that when you draft with 8 people, you basically can't count cards because you don't know if Be Prepared was included in those packs, for example.
Yeah.
So some people like to do that. Some people like to just have it at a set number. Usually with drafting in Lorcana, I actually prefer pods of 6 players instead of 8.
Okay.
Fern is interested in this conversation. I can see her nose trying to wedge under the door. So far so good?
Yeah, so far so good. So you prefer 6 to 8 because of the
I don't
numbers?
know. It just feels a little bit better.
8's just too many.
Well, it's just like 6 people with the packs have 12 cards. So it sort of, each pack will go around twice.
Gotcha. Yep.
And only twice.
It's just nice how it fits in.
Yeah, it just sort of fits a little bit better.
Sure.
And I don't know. I feel like draft kind of takes a while.
Yeah.
And with 8 people, that's more of an opportunity for pileups and stuff.
For sure.
Theoretically, if everybody's picking, you could do a draft with 100 people and it would take just the same amount of time. But in reality, 8 people means there's more more times for there to be backups, and it just takes longer.
Cool.
And with 6 people, you can do team draft, which is probably my favorite way to draft Lorcana, which is like 3v3. So we would alternate, like there would be 6 of us, and we would alternate how we sit, and we would draft, and then we would basically play one at a time. You would play each person on the other team.
Got it.
So if me, you, and Katie were on a team, and Becky was on the other team, she would play me, you, and Katie. And then you would just count wins for your team or overall record. And then the winning team is whoever has the most wins over the course of the night.
Sounds fun.
It is fun. It's a good way to do it. Because even if you're not that good at drafting, then you can still like feel like you won.
Yeah.
You know? So, all right, we got a little off track, which is fine.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. So
we never do that around here.
Originally, Cube was called Cube. Why do you think it was called that?
Because they stored the cards in a big giant cube.
I thought it would be something like related to like a specific name of a card, but it's literally just that.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
They just stored it in a box.
Yeah, that's like
That's what I found online.
That's
so. Usually, Cube, the way it started out and the way it is traditionally, it's just the best pool of cards available.
Okay.
So it's like the 384 best cards available in Lorcana right now.
That's what you'd put in your cube.
Yeah, and as the game progresses, the cube, the quality of cards in the cube will also progress.
Right.
So it's kind of interesting. Like right now, if you draft a cube, like if you draft the example of the list we're going to look at, the power level on these decks is going to be so much higher than the power level if you just draft Shimmering Skies.
Right.
Because these
are all the best cards.
Yeah, it's the best cards available at each cost slot and across all of the colors.
Cool. In sets.
It can also Cube can include any cards you want to put in there. So the original Bucky or the errated Bucky, like either one or both if you wanted to. You can include cards from the Illumineer's Quest. Like if you just want to include the best cards, you can pull cards out of Ursula's deck, which are like super overpowered. And it's kind of fun to play with those because you don't ever get to play with them outside of that.
Right. So you're getting new game experiences because you don't see these cards in other formats.
Yeah.
Cool.
You can also include custom cards.
Nice.
Like you can get as wacky as you want. Like there's some cubes in Magic where people will introduce cards that aren't actually real cards, or cards that introduce chaos into the draft. Like when you open this, you can draft 2 cards from the next pack or whatever.
Crazy.
Just random stuff that. So you can get wacky with it. It's as wacky or as, hardcore as you and your play group wants, which is, I think, we can go into why Cube now. We've talked about what it is. Now let's talk about why I'm excited about it for Lorcana, because I think this has potential to be like one of the most popular ways to play the game because it's so customizable and creative.
Yeah. And
it's so affordable. Like you only have to buy 1 copy of a card, right?
I get what you're saying now because I kept hearing that and I was like, how can this be more affordable? I'm literally compiling so many cards, but I get what you're saying. If you just go online, you're like, I need this 1 card.
Yeah.
I don't got to open 10 packs trying to find it or something yet.
And you can upgrade your cube over time. Like for example, it's a way to show creativity. And it's a way to collect that. I think like Lorcana community loves collecting things. So if you're gonna run Stitch Rockstar, you can include your set championship Stitch Rockstar, and then you can maybe get it signed by the artist or whatever, and then you can include that in your cube.
It's a form of self-expression.
It is, and that's like a big thing with Lorcana people. So I think it has potential for people to really enjoy it, because you can include enchanted, you can include altered cards where people will paint over them or do custom art, or you can include like those, what are they called, Lorcanos, those like the satirical Lorcana cards.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you've seen those. So yeah, saves a lot of money. In general, the high power level means it's a lot of fun. You can create like really wacky, really fun decks.
Yeah.
Like, you can actually build a control deck in Cube. You cannot build a control deck in a normal Lorcana draft.
Right.
Or you can do like a super aggressive deck in Cube, which you can't really do easily in Lorcana draft.
Yeah.
And Cube is a great alternative to Constructed, even if you're like Constructed players often criticize not just in Lorcana, in all games. They're not super interested in Limited because they're playing with such a low power level decks. Like they don't really want to pay 3 to get a 3/4 the quest for 1. Like they want all of their cards to be cool and powerful.
Yeah.
With Cube, you can do that.
You can still have that.
Yeah. So usually in Magic, Cube is popular even with Constructed players because it's like a way for them to play and still have a high powered deck.
Right.
And then it's also a way to like honor old cards. Like if you really want to play with Mother Gothel from set 1,
Yeah.
she's not super great in Constructed, but in your Cube you can put her in there and you can play with that every once in a while.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a good way to give life to all of the cards in your collection,
For sure.
whether they're playable in Constructed or not.
Yeah.
Also, I think like the artistic expression thing, you can do like a themed cube. You could do like a princesses versus villains cube.
Yeah.
Where, once we have enough cards, you could have a pile of 384 cards and it's like 190 villains and villain related cards and 190 princesses and princess related cards. Or you could do an aggro cube where no card costs, more than 4 or whatever.
Right.
So there's like a bunch of different themes that you can do. You could do Porcana. Like if you only want to play with commons and uncommons, you could make a cube that does that. There's also a lot of fun in like the way that you store your cube. So like,
how cool does your box look?
Yeah, like there are actual
Like really, yeah.
Dragon Shield and other brand products where it's like they make like these cube shells that you can store your sleeved cards in an item called like the magic carpet is an example is what one of the items is called. So a magic carpet, like an extra large magic carpet, is enough to hold a Lorcana cube.
Okay.
And it's like it just looks kind of cool. And I know that like they're all about collecting bits and baubles in this community. So I think that people will like being like, this is my cube that I've curated it and I've sleeved with my cute sleeves and my cool cool cube shells and my awesome magic carpet.
For sure.
Yeah.
That is cool. It's not just the box.
No. What's in the box?
What's in the box?
Anything so far?
No, I have questions, but I know you're gonna get to building a cube because I just keep thinking like, do most people who are doing this, is it like you decided when the game came out, I'm gonna make a cube, or is this something like late? You're like, oh, I can actually cube now that I have all these cards. I'm gonna do that.
This is why we haven't talked about cube yet, because there hasn't, I think, been a critical mass of cards. But now we're about to break 1,000 cards.
So we have enough now where it's like feasible to make a cube that works like the cube should.
Yeah. So like now that we have, once Shimmering Skies comes out, we'll have over 1,000 cards.
Yeah.
And we pick the best 384 of them. That's like we're picking the best 40% of the cards. And as more sets come out, you just update your cube. Right. So it's like you can probably build a cube with just what you have. You don't need to go all out. And if you do want to go all out, like you want a cool, like a copy of Diablo, which is normally like $35 right now, instead of buying 4 of them, which would be $140 to play that in Constructed, you just buy one of them.
For your cube.
Yeah, or you only need to open one of them.
Right.
All right, so...
Seems like a lot to keep track of. People have spreadsheets.
There's websites for it. So we're going to talk about that. So the 2 sites that I've seen people building Lorcana cubes on is just Dreamborn.
Okay, yeah.
Because on Dreamborn, you can put any color cards in your deck. Or on Cube Cobra, which is a Magic the Gathering based cube construction and management website.
Okay.
But you can use it for Lorcana. But some things look a little bit weird in terms of like, you have to like pick a name for your card, and people will just pick one card name and then they just name all of their cards that same thing.
Oh, okay.
Because it's like,
I don't want to.
The website only knows about Magic cards.
Right.
But people are using this website because the infrastructure in it's good in terms of being able to see what's in your list, see where the gaps are, simulate hands and stuff like that, or simulate like packs.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe we should touch on how you make packs.
Yeah. Probably.
So you could just shuffle 384 cards together. I mean, that's essentially what you're doing.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah.
you just make stacks of 12 cards
To pass around
and you
as the
pass
pack.
those around.
Mm-hmm. Gosh.
In general, you want to try to, like, color doesn't really matter, but a lot of times the different colors have like a specific color identity in Lorcana. So it's best to like sort of keep your cube split up by color,
Okay.
and then you can shuffle each color and then like roughly distribute the packs accordingly. So like,
So when you say that, you mean like, so there's an even amount of colors in each pack? Or like...
yeah, so like in a pack of 12, you usually want there to be like 2 of each.
Okay.
You can do that exactly. Like you could split each color up, shuffle them, and then just build a pack by taking one off the top of each and then one off the top of each, and that's a pack.
Yeah, and then you'll be ready to play in 3 days.
This is always a problem with Cube. Shuffling it up and distributing it takes a while.
I was going to say, I can't imagine. You need just like a giant shuffle machine. And just...
Well, I think what's best to do is when you're done with your cube at the end of the night, just go ahead and reshuffle and before you put it up.
Yeah.
But there's different ways to do it, how to randomize packs. But yeah, you don't really pay attention to rarity.
Right.
Because like normally rarity matters. You get 6 commons, 3 uncommons, 2 rare plus cards, and a foil card. And this one, you just shuffle it up and whatever rarity, it is what it is.
Okay.
So that's how you build a pack.
Okay.
But building your own cube, let's talk about this for a little bit. Because first of all, there's no rules. You can do whatever you want. Whatever you and your play group enjoy is what you should do.
Yeah.
So if you want to do princesses versus villains, go for it. If you want to do as high as power as possible, go for that. And then there's examples that you can find in our Discord of people doing various things. But there's really only like a few things that you need to keep in mind when you're building a cube. Like if you want to build from scratch, you want to make sure that you have a good distribution of characters versus non-characters.
Okay.
And this is not a hard and fast rule, but you want, like if you think about a limited deck, which is 40 cards, normally what we say is you want to have like at least 30 or 32 characters.
Yeah.
So as a rule of thumb...
I knew that before you said it. Aren't you proud?
Nice. As a rule of thumb, you want to have like 80% of your cube be characters.
Okay.
And then the other 20% can be actions and locations and items. That's not a hard and fast rule. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And then if you play and you want to change that, go for it. With relation to character distribution, you can be a little bit more looser with your deck construction in when you're drafting a cube because there's more support for specific archetypes.
Okay.
So like you can't make an items deck work in when you're drafting Ursula's Return because the item quality sucks.
Yeah.
But in your cube, your item quality will be good.
Should be good,
which
yeah.
means those cards that care about items are suddenly a little bit more interesting.
Because
So-
the items matter.
Yeah, so keep that in mind when you're drafting or when you're building your cube. Maybe you have 70% characters. Maybe it's 60%. I don't know.
Yeah.
If you play it and it feels good and your group is having fun,
Then you're doing it right.
more power to you.
Yeah.
Another thing is inkability. This one is kind of important because you need to be able to play the game. Once again, you could just say, we don't care about inkability. Everything's inkable. We just want to play with the 384 best cards.
Nice. Regardless
Everything's
of
inkable.
Nice.
I wouldn't do that,
Yeah.
but you could do that. And with inkability, same thing as with characters. When you're building a limited deck, we recommend maximum 8 uninkables in your draft and sealed decks. So carry that probability over to your cube. You want to have like 20% or less of your cube be uninkable.
Okay.
So most of your cube should be inkable, around 80% or more. And yeah, keep that in mind. And then the last thing is your curve. So if you just pick the best cards, you'd probably have a bunch of super expensive cards.
Right.
But then you can't really draft and have a real deck with that.
Correct.
So you need to look at like the best 1 drops, the best 2 drops, so on and so forth. And you can pay attention to color or not. It's more fun to pay attention to the colors so that then you sort of make sure that you're supporting each color's, themes and archetypes. But, around 10% of your cube, this is just rough, but like if you look at the preferred ink curve of like 1 drops, 2 drops, etc., and take those percentages and apply them to a cube, it's roughly like 10% or less of your cube should be 1 drops, around 18% should be 2 drops, 20% 3 drops, 20% 4 drops, 18% 5 drops, and then 6 drops should be 10%.
Okay.
or more.
Mm-hmm.
So do with that information what you will.
Yeah.
It's your the world is your oyster,
Mm-hmm.
or whatever people say.
That's it.
Yeah. So any questions on building your own cube? I just sort of gave some guardrails, but
Yeah. No, it sounds like actually less daunting and more fun than I originally thought, because it is so much of like what you want to do, so that when I think of something like this, I'm like, I don't want to mess this up, if I'm starting to like this 3, and it sounds like you can't really.
yeah,
There's certain things that help gameplay be more fun, but
yeah, absolutely.
you live and learn with your cube, right? You play and you're like, oh, let's get rid of some of these.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
And you can play your cube a few times to see maybe where some of the gaps are, and fill in those gaps as you go.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you want games to be faster, then you introduce some more things that quest for more lore.
Yeah.
There's a lot of levers that you can mess with.
Is there like a craziest cube you've ever seen story that you have, or like someone made a wild cube that you know about?
Brandon Sanderson has a pretty infamous magic cube
Okay.
where it just has a bunch of really broken cards that he made up in there. And it has just his cube's probably worth $50,000 in terms of like what's in it. If you play with like the highest quality, like you have all the fetch lands, you have all the crack lands, just the mana base in his is ridiculously expensive.
Leave it to you to find a way to bring up Brandon Sanderson,
Hey, every 10 episodes I can bring him up once. But his cube is cool. So yeah.
We should have had a cube counter on this episode. So every time we say cube, we just add another one at the top.
It has to be a number that has a whole number cube. So
Math nerd.
we're gonna look at an example.
Yes.
Because if I was building a cube, this is what I would do. I would just take this cube and start from there.
Okay.
So we talk about people will share their cubes in our Discord, and we'll talk about them. People will like generate packs to simulate, a draft and stuff in there. It's pretty fun. But City Noise is a active member in our Discord. He plays a lot of cube. I mentioned this one specifically because I know that he's maintained and played a Magic cube for 15 years.
Yeah.
And so he has a lot of experience with the format. And he has played this cube several times.
Okay.
Like, some people will build a cube and they've only played it like once or twice.
Right. You just don't know yet.
Yeah. He's played this one. I know he's played this one at least 10 times. So, if I was building a cube, I would literally copy and paste this list and start from there and just adjust stuff. So his website is using Cube Cobra.
Okay.
And you can look there. You can see the color distribution. You can see the ink curve. But he plays the highest power versions of everything. So there's Be Prepared is in there. Several of Ursula's cards are in there, which is just, those are pretty broken to play. He has Old Bucky in there, so there's like a lot of discard stuff going on. Yeah, I mean, it's a good list. And if I was building a cube, I would look at City Noises, and I would go from there.
Cool. Nice.
There's another user in our Discord named Stop Thief. I don't know what his real name is or what their real name is, but they made something called the Anti-Meta Cube, which is focusing on highlighting cards that aren't currently highlighted and constructed.
Okay.
So it's not focused on discard like Diablo being really good or whatever. It's like trying to highlight other synergies, like item synergies or healing or heroes.
Stuff that isn't the priority in the current constructed meta.
Yeah, so Stop Thief took a different approach. So City Noise is, I'm just playing the best. I think it's 480 cards. Let's see. Yeah, 480 cards because this supports 10 people. Okay. But if you have 8 people, then there's still like the variance on, we don't know what cards are included. Right. And you can also this is just helpful, you can filter by ink cost on Cube Cobra, and you can see what are all of the 1-drops that
so you can easily do those percentages that you've talked about.
Exactly.
Cool.
So that's good to know. Now, Stop Thief, the Anti-Meta Cube, links to both of these are in the show notes. he was trying to focus on synergies. Like,
Okay.
I want to support the princess synergy, so I'm going to put like a critical mass of princess support in here.
Yeah.
Or, heroes mattering or brooms, those sorts of things. Those are all in this list.
Okay.
And he doesn't do singleton, so he has like a couple of copies of some cards that he think are necessary to hit the percentages to support specific archetypes.
Okay. I got it.
So that is, and there's also, if you look at the description, instructions on how you can draft online.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so you can draft this online, and then like with your friends, you can draft online, and he hosts drafts in our Discord. You draft using Draftmancer, and then you can build the deck, with paper with what you have at home, or you can do proxies, or what do they call them? Test cards. You can do test cards at home and play with webcams.
Sweet.
Yeah, so Stop Thief is always trying to fire off drafts for his cube. So cool. I wanted to highlight both of these because they take different approaches to the thing. Mm-hmm. But they have both played these as well, which I think is important. I want to try to highlight cubes that people have actually played.
Right.
So, yeah, that's that. Those are examples.
Cube.
We cubed.
Wow. You live by the cube, you die by the cube,
Amen. That's what Dwayne Wade always says.
Amen.
You live by the cube, you die by the cube.
I wish does he say that?
I don't know.
Oh. That'd be so great.
We should watch it. Okay, well that's that. Do you want to round out the episode with the pack one, pick one?
Yeah. Do you have one that you thought of first? I have one. I guess I just thought of.
Oh, go for it.
My summer's coming to an end. I go back to work this week, so that's a bummer, but it's been like the best summer ever. And today on the way here, I drove by Tomez.
What's that?
A little, what would you call it? A little like barbecue
shack
that does like tacos and stuff. Brisket,
Yeah.
And all day today is 2 for $6 tacos and burritos.
What are we doing here?
That's what I'm telling you.
Oh, okay. Well, our lunch plans just changed.
Yes. So that's my pack one, pick one. When you get to that point where you're going back to work, if you work at a job that you don't work all year, you just like get a summer off.
So like 4 of our listeners?
Yeah, for all 4 of you. There's like, I don't know, I get anxious that week before, like a couple days before, I'm just like really nervous to go back, and it's hard. You just had that, freedom for a little while. So it's the little things you got to cling to. I saw that sign today, and I was like, it's going to be a good day.
Yeah. So Tom has 2 for $6 tacos.
2 for $6 tacos. Dang. Or burritos.
Well, I'll go give it a shot. I mean, sometimes it takes 40 minutes, and I've been the only person in the drive-thru, and it took 40 minutes to get my food.
It's always worth it.
Yeah. It's worth the wait. But we have a lactation class at 2, so I don't know if I can swing it.
Yeah, that's understandable.
We'll make Sky go pick it up and bring it to us. Pack one, pick one. Man, I don't know. My life the last month has been pretty focused on just feeding Ada and sleeping when I can.
Keeping a baby alive.
Yeah.
And yourself.
Yeah. Napping. Naps could be a good pack one, pick one. Reading, I've done a lot of reading, but I haven't read anything that's like pack one, pick oneable.
Yeah.
But for my birthday, right before Ada was born, we had friends over and we played Arcs. So maybe that's not pack one, pick one. It's a new board game that I'm really excited about. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of fun. It's like a space exploration game.
It was great.
But you can play like a campaign where you play multiple sessions, and the story like evolves with each session. So what happens in the first session might matter in the last session for how you win.
Yeah.
So Arcs has been fun. It's really cool looking. There's a lot of rules, but like the rules, it's complicated but intuitive, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like if you want to fight somebody, it's pretty straightforward.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Or if you want to, build a new building, it's like, okay, you spend resources and you make a building. Like it's not that
It's the type of complicated where it's like there's a ton of options.
Yeah.
So that's what makes it overwhelming, but none of the options are that overly complicated. Like once you're like, oh, I can do this, and it's very simple to do that.
Yeah. I think board games need to include QR codes to searchable PDFs of their rules.
Yeah. Like,
or include a glossary at the back.
that makes perfect sense.
Like if the rule book is 30 pages, let me do Command F
I need to, yeah.
because I can't always read and find what I need.
No, that's true.
Okay,
Free
well,
advice to board game makers.
shouts out to Tomez and Arcs.
Arcs.
It's a great game.
Mm-hmm. It was fun. I almost won.
Yeah, you didn't though. Who won?
Don't recall.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank y'all for your time. Go Dogs.
Always.
Go USA.
Go USA. Oh, the Olympics.
I am really patriotic about 2 weeks every 2 years.
Yeah. Summer, winter. Got it. I love the Olympics, man. We play Olympic games.
You mean like the draft thing?
Yeah. I make a fantasy Olympics draft thing.
But if you don't draft, it's just random.
Yeah, you just get a new country every week. Every day.
Every day. I was thinking about what would be the ideal one
For every day.
for every day.
The medals, yeah.
Because you want USA on like swimming,
Swimming.
but I also want USA on gymnastics.
True.
But
Yeah.
I want Australia on swimming and diving,
Uh-huh.
and I want Japan on skateboarding.
Oh, skateboarding. I forget that's an event.
Yeah.
So excited.
Break dancing, I'm excited about
Dude,
that.
that is going to be a trip.
Sorry, breaking, as it's called
Breaking.
now.
They call it breaking, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm excited to watch
Dancing is a different event. Yeah, I'm stoked. It's going to be great. Opening ceremonies Friday. Are you going?
that. Yeah, I'll be in Paris.
No, our friend's having a party.
Yeah, I
Opening
know.
ceremonies
Yeah.
Friday.
I will be there. I'll be there to watch the opening ceremonies.
And I'll bring Dole Whip.
Oh, I can't wait.
Hey, trivia question for y'all. What is the most sorry, how do they word it?
It's like
At Disney parks, what is the most consumed product? Like
food product.
Food. Yeah, sorry.
By volume and
Dollar.
dollar amount. Yeah.
Yeah,
And there's
so-
options.
The options are Dole Whip,
Yep.
popcorn, the Mickey Mouse ice cream head, and
Churros.
Churros.
Mm-hmm. If you can guess the correct answer,
What's the answer?
put it in the Discord.
Okay. Hop in our Discord, talk about that, talk about Cube.
See, we know Disney parks. Well,
No,
we didn't.
we got it wrong. And then we also got we got this Disney song wrong. There's
We
a
got the
Disney
song.
music category, and we
Yeah.
got all of them right except for the last one.
We're trying to get better, guys. That's the point. We go to trivia and they ask Disney questions and we try.
Yeah. Mistakes mean we're learning and we're growing.
Growing.
That's what Sky said to her first grade class every day.
It's an incredible mantra, honestly.
Yeah, mistakes mean we're learning and we're growing.
growing.
All right. Well, let's learn and grow. Bye, y'all.
See you, everybody.
Thank you.